Hi, my name's Patricia Walton, and I want to talk to everybody about the Daniel Holtclaw case. This man was actually sentenced to 263 years. He is a third-generation police officer. Many have also talked about how Daniel himself had physically looked guilty just because he was crying and his family was upset, and so people were making fun of how he was actually projecting himself. And I want to say for the record that if you were actually somebody of importance, as Mr. Holtzclaw actually was, if you know that you were never physically guilty of the crime that you were actually convicted of, for you to physically be able to sit behind an actual table and to hear that you have obtained 263 years for a crime that you have not committed, you are going to cry, especially if you did not commit the crime. And so I want to bring you into the video and let you actually see where the man is actually having his issues, where he begins to cry, his family begins to cry, and I want everyone to kind of take a look at that. Here's the video.
Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 2, procuring lewd exhibition. Not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 3, burglary in the first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of burglary in the first degree, nor lesser included. Count 4, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years.
As you can see right there, Daniel is beside himself. He is not able to actually keep his composure because of the simple fact that he knows he did not commit the crime. There are also some other things that I'm going to point out through this video that I found utterly disgusting, of the fact that these individuals, they knew that Daniel did not commit the crime. They knew it, and they continued on with the sentencing as if they had not known anything about it.
Count 5, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years. Count 6, defendant is not guilty of the crime of stalking. Count 7, defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 8, defendant is guilty of...
As you can actually hear, the family is in devastating they're in devastation over the actual whole ordeal of it all. Not only that Daniel is actually being convicted on all of these counts, but also by the fact that the women that have actually presented themselves were of not good standing in the community. They have not, they were individuals that were actually committing crimes every day just to make a living. They were, because, you know, prostitution is a crime. Whether we want to really realize that, prostitution is really a crime. So they themselves were committing an act of unscrupulous characters, but yet they are allowed to come into an actual court of law and actually be able to state non-facts about what's going on. Their credibility was shot through the roof before they even got there. As you can see here, I'm getting ready to set this video up, and I want you to keep an eye on the prosecuting attorney. As you can basically see all through here, he makes some body languages that I am not comfortable with. Not only does he kind of have like a little bit of a attitude, you can see as he's putting a big show on for the actual trial, that these women were so devastated, and that he himself was, you know, he didn't falsify. He thinks to himself that he didn't falsify the evidence, but actually he did. He misrepresented the DNA himself, and he knew he did And then when the verdict's being read, he kind of has like a little smirk about himself. You know, he kind of has this attitude like, well, you know, when Daniel's not being charged with certain things, he kind of has an attitude that seems like, you know, it's, you know, he should have gotten that. That's the kind of attitude that I kind of got from it. So let's take a look at this video here.
Degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 29, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 30, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery, and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 31, rape in the second degree by instrumentation. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the second degree, and punishment is set at 12 years. Count 32, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 33, sexual battery.
Okay, I want to state here that actually Daniel at this point has been set up and he is called a patsy. He did not commit these crimes against these women. Okay? Actually, Oklahoma City has been in trouble for actually finagling DNA, other evidence that's actually been going on through different court cases in the previous years before. So, to actually get people to not actually see what's going on, they have to start getting public approval, okay? And to gain public approval is to sacrifice one of your own. And to sacrifice one of your own, they go around and they physically set this man up into a situation to where they know that he's going to have a hard time getting out of, okay? Next, I want to talk about how these actual detectives, during their conversations and how they were actually doing interrogations, they were leading the witnesses. You cannot lead a witness to actually state someone. That is a criminal offense. You are doing things to actually set this man up that you know did not commit the crime. Okay? You can't lead witnesses in any trial. The prosecutor cannot have his deputies going around telling them what to say and what to do. Okay? And in all of these things, we will talk about these things. Here in this actual video that I'm going to be discussing here, I want to point out that during this interview, the entire time that Michelle Malkin is actually talking to these police detectives, I want you to watch the actual body language of these detectives. Okay? No one who is physically speaking the truth will blink as much as this individual detective does herself. I mean, she just continually blinks because she knows that what she is actually stating is a lie.
That what Janie told me was the truth, yes.
I assume it's because of all the other women that became a part of this case.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. When you have one victim, I believed her.
The fingerprint tests came back negative on the car, and the SANE test came back negative for DNA in her mouth.
Correct.
You still...
Now, did you notice how many times that the whole time that she was actually being questioned about certain aspects of Daniel Holtclaw's case, that as she is talking and actually interacting with Michelle Malkin, she cannot stop blinking long enough to actually focus. But if she's asked a question to where Michelle asked her some questions in the beginning and her eyes were not blinking, okay, that meant that she was absolutely telling the truth, okay? I'm not going to go through this whole video. I just wanted to shed some little light on that, as that she herself, when the detective is actually speaking the truth, she can actually look at somebody and she can speak honestly and her eyes are not blinking. But when she is lying about something, her eyes cannot stop blinking. That is something very important to understand about body language and how they are physically interacting. I want to say here on this actual video is that Janie Liggins herself, I don't believe anything that this woman has to say. I'm sorry. Nothing personal against Miss Janie Liggins. But she was being actually stopped for a traffic stop. Okay. She was being pulled over. Yes, Daniel should have called for a backup as he was off duty, but he did go forward to actually make the stop. Okay, on this video that I'm going to show you, the things that Janie Liggins said happened, they did not happen. You don't see it anywhere in the video. It just doesn't, the MO is not there, okay? What she said happened did not happen. So let's go ahead and watch this video of that. As you can see here, there is no audio to this actual footage, but it's pretty well lit up. And what you can see and what you can't see is that Daniel is not making contact other than going up to the vehicle. I mean, you don't see him outside his car, as she has stated. You don't see her physically out there, physically doing. She said that they had an interaction of some kind, that he was touching her all over and doing all these things. Okay, but in this video that's caught up on an actual camera footage across the way, you do not see that, okay? You do not see that, okay? And the video is such a brief moment on the video, really. It's like a 10-minute video, but in this 10 minutes, you do not see so much as what she's talking about. And plus, not only that, I want to note that there was actually no fingerprints. None of that stuff came back, against Daniel. So everything's in favorable of Daniel. He has not done anything whatsoever other than be a police officer doing his duties. All right, here I want to set up the fact that the only person that has helped the Daniel Holtclaw and the Holtclaw family has been Michelle Malkin. I mean, she has done the most diligent actually on trying to find the problems and be very helpful in what she's doing. She's diligent about trying to find the answers and to help actual Daniel reach his goal, which is to be free from a wrongful accusation. Here, this is one of many, and started with Daniel in the Dens, parts 1 and 2. This here, I'm going to be discussing about this mysterious motion under seal. Okay?
So on May 4th, there was a very intriguing entry on the Oklahoma courts page. And it came from the state attorney general's office in Daniel's case.
During this time, through this motion under seal, no attorney or representation for the defendant itself was allowed to actually go into the courtroom. No one could be present for Daniel.
The Court of Criminal Appeals for permission to file a motion under a seal along with accompanying material under seal. What's going on here?
That's what we're wondering. Even Daniel, as the defendant, he's not even aware of what the topic is in regards to what is under seal. There's so many things that we can speculate it could be, and so we're just waiting every day to hear what it could.
Okay, So basically, and they have left the family into a despair of hearing that there's an actual closed hearing being held, and they were not invited. Okay? No way that you can actually do this to someone, but yet they are. Okay? They are doing this, even though we know it's against the law. They know that they're supposed to have representation from the defendant's lawyers actually present in the courtroom.
Be and how it pertains to Daniel's case, and so we're hoping to hear something really soon. It's been a little bit over 2 weeks now since that was filed.
This is like a John Grisham novel with all the twists and turns, but of course it's Daniel's life and his freedom and your family's lives. So from my understanding, there's privileged information included in this motion that apparently by Oklahoma law can't be disclosed to the public. And like you said, we could speculate.
Okay. Pretty much, if you really want to go finish the rest of that, that's not a very long video itself. It's only like 1 minute and 24 seconds. But the point is that Oklahoma continues to actually break all the laws, okay? They're not allowing anybody in there for representation. They're trying to hide the fact that their prosecutor misrepresented the DNA. They're trying to also hide the fact that their lead detectives on the case actually went out and was coercing, basically, all the accusers into stating that Daniel Holtclaw had actually committed a crime against them. But we the people, we know better, okay? We've seen the video evidence. We've mustered up the fact that one of the witnesses state, well, even if Daniel didn't do it, he deserves to be in jail because he was there or still keeping in contact. That is Daniel. Okay, Daniel is a very caring person, and he was trying to show a little bit of compassion there, at which point they used that against him to burn him. I just want to say that basically on the updates on the secret trial hearings and all that stuff, on the little secret meetings that the Oklahoma courts had, and Daniel's defense attorney was not allowed to be present or anything like that. There was some type of ruling during those days. I cannot find the video of that stuff right now, but they did have a ruling during those 2 secret days, which is not fair, I must say, to Daniel Holtclaw and his family. I also want to discuss this other video about the billboard that was placed up. So that's what I'm going to be leading into. During here, everybody made such a big stink, but the question was, did he do it? Judging by the evidence and everything that was presented actually in the case, Daniel, he didn't do it, okay? He didn't do it. And what sickened me the most is we're supposed to have freedom of speech, and we can't even put up on a billboard the case about and bringing it forward whether or not he didn't do it. I mean, it should be way more. We should care about whether or not he did or didn't do it. Okay, we don't want innocent people in jail if he didn't do it. So go ahead and watch the clip.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for News Channel 4 at 10. I'm Kevin Ogle.
And I'm Linda Cavanaugh. We begin tonight with a convicted rapist and former police officer. Daniel Holtclaw now back in the spotlight after a controversial billboard questioning the guilty verdicts he received. It was prompting an upcoming TV piece about Holtclaw's trial and interviews with people who claim he was wrongfully convicted. News Channel 4's Abby Broyles joins us with that story. And Abby, you exclusively spoke with Holtclaw on the phone tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Linda. And victims' advocates were furious when that billboard went up with Holtclaw's picture questioning his guilt. Holtclaw told me tonight he was disappointed the billboard has been taken down, but he's more focused on his appeal and he told me he's confident he'll get a new trial.
Word that the billboard has come down.
So I find this pretty much distracting for myself. Not only that, because I feel like if somebody didn't commit a crime, they should have absolutely all aspects to actually put anything that they want to be able to prove that they didn't do it. Okay? And I don't think it's right that anybody should be able to state, hey, take it down because we find it so controversy and all this other stuff. I don't think it's right.
And I'm a little disheartened, but I'm encouraged so much with the ongoing supporters who believe in my innocence.
This is the billboard Daniel Holtclaw is talking about. It was up at I-44 in Kelly. A picture of Holtclaw in his orange jumpsuit and the words, "What if he didn't do it?"
Hi, I want to talk about Benjamin Crump and all the stuff that he's been doing for the supposed victims on the Holtclaw case there. Basically, in a nutshell, he thinks that Daniel has made the landmark case, basically, and says it barely skims the surface of addressing 400 years of racial and sexual violence against black women. I took that to mean that he actually means to make an example out of Daniel himself and believes that he should be punished for 400 years worth of misfortunes on the black women. That's the way I took it to actually mean that. This is my first time actually doing a video on doing stuff, so sometimes I'm a little hard of hearing, so it's a little loud. Sometimes in certain areas I speak a little bit louder than I should, so I do want to apologize for that. I just kind of wanted to address a few things that I had noticed throughout the case so far on the Holtclaw case, and I wanted to bring it to to your attention and to the Holtclaw family's attention that from the bottom of my heart, I truly believe that this man did not commit the crime, and I think they did railroad him. I think that they intended to cause harm to him and his family, and I'm rooting for the defense team to get everything going and get things changed around. Thank you guys. I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope that next time I can do a little bit better video on something more in depth for Daniel. And this is my editor,
aka the Sun. My channel link will be down in the description box below as well. She wanted my help on this. She came to me just because I know how to edit the video. So we will see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.